Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. We're going to do a little bit of live chat. At the end of the video, I wanted to start the video with Quince. You all know I love Quince. I've done a video before where I featured how I went down the Quince rabbit hole and picked up a bunch of sweaters from them. I think I might have featured pants and something else in that video. I will link that below if you would like to see some of the cashmere and cashmere mix items that I purchased probably last winter and have been loving on. And then you all also know that I am in the era of simple shirts, like for work, button-down shirts or shirts that are not fussy, that look great for work events, but also are casual enough to wear whenever you want to go out with your friends, out to dinner, casual, anything that you might want to be doing on a day-to-day basis that isn't necessarily work related. So I was super excited and delighted and thrilled when Quince reached out to me for a partnership. So I want to say thank you to them for sending over some items for me to try out. I have a couple of new ones that I want to share with you and talk about the shirts that I have been purchasing from them. I gotta warn you, one of them is wrinkled because it just came out of the wash recently because I wore it recently and I haven't had a chance to steam it down. But I do want to show you the different colors of the ones that I've been loving on lately. So I've been down this rabbit hole of work type of shirts, work appropriate shirts that you can wear casually. You've heard me talk about Luxair as one of my preferred brands for work shirts, and I have almost every single color of their button downs. The other brand I've recently gotten into is Buttercloth. You might have seen them on Shark Tank. They've got a material that's kind of cooling. Anyway, I'll get into that in another video, but I purchased a few Buttercloth button down, very cozy shirts. I've been shopping at Ann Taylor and at Banana Republic. I want to show you some footage of the work shirt section of my closet that's arranged by colors, and I just love it. I love looking at them and knowing that they are ready and will not fail me during my work events. So anyway, let me share the couple of clothing products that Quince sent over. You might remember, if you're on the fragrance channel as well, that I talked about a fragrance called Mineral that is a lot like Wood Sage and Sea Salt from Jo Malone, and I really like, lasts a lot longer than that, and that's on the affordable end. So those are $50, they're fragrances. And then I have two candles. We'll probably pick up more. The candles are very affordable, $24.99 I think. Pear Freesia and then English Rose. Pear Freesia, of course, smells like clean, slightly fruity, very fresh, refreshing. English Rose smells very much like you would expect it to. Very traditional rose scent, but in a lighter fashion. Quite beautiful. I've been burning Pear Freesia and plan to burn English Rose when this is done in my office. So let's start off with this shirt. It's called the Washable Stretch Silk Split Neck Blouse. This goes for $89.90. It is silk and it is beautiful. By the way, if you don't own a steamer, I would strongly suggest investing in one. I do not iron these shirts. I steam them. That is the only way that I will put any heat on them. And then for washing, I wash all of my silks in like a lingerie bag. Each piece gets its own lingerie bag, and I do it on the most delicate cycle. So I personally air dry them when they come out of the washing machine and then put the steamer on them and they're good to go. Except one I'm gonna show you that's kind of wrinkled, but I want you to see the color on it. So this is a size small. This is a chocolate color, which I think is nice and beautiful and rich. I love the deep dark chocolate colors, and it's got this detail here on the shoulder. It also opens like that if you want something that's a little bit more low cut. I don't need everybody looking at my ladies, so I would close that up. And this is one of those shirts. Sorry, my camera is all sideways. So this is the kind of shirt that I would wear on its own, or I could wear with a pair of jeans. I'll put in some footage of what it looks like, kind of semi-tucked in so you can get the idea. So I have jeans on now, and then I also have a Quince suede loafer, which I love. I got these, as you know, in a cream color, this sort of cognac. This is one of my favorite colors in the whole world. Cognac brown, tobacco browns, that's my family of colors. And I also got these in black. Very comfortable shoe. It has a leather bottom. You can see I have worn these and they are well loved. Very comfortable shoe. No problems with like the back kind of biting into your ankle or anything like that. So the silk shirts, so the cashmere is to be checked out. The cashmere sweaters and everything for sure. And then the silk shirts are wonderful. I haven't really tried many of their cotton products yet, so I can't speak to those. And just about everything that I have purchased from Quince, I have loved. I think I shared a blazer that didn't quite work out and I had to send that back. And then there was another shirt that I think the sleeves were maybe a little too puffy for me and I sent that back as well. But everything else, I've got, I don't know, maybe like 8 sweaters, and maybe about as many shirts, something like that. I have the 3 pairs of, my hair looks horrible, sorry y'all. The 3 pairs of suede loafers and a couple other items that I want to show you. So the other thing that they sent over is a leather jacket that I'm going to try on for you. This is like butter. Let's talk about this one. 100% leather cropped zip front jacket. This is $225, which is kind of a steal for the nice jacket that this is, really high quality. And I got it in the color dark cognac brown. It also comes in black and it comes in a rich brown. And I would not hesitate to pick up the other 2 colors based on my experience with this one. They've got a bunch of leather jackets and I really agonized over which one to get because I like the motorcycle jacket quite a lot. I like the oversized bomber jacket. I like the washed leather bomber. There's a bunch. They have a leather blazer if you're into that. They even have this really stylish stand-up collar one that I was looking at. But after a lot of thought, I went with this one. Let me put this camera down just a bit so you can see the features on this. This is also in a size small. So it is fitted to me, right? Has a sleek silhouette. It's got the nice pockets, but it's cropped. See right there? I mean, you can see the shirt underneath, but imagine the shirt is tucked in. You know, you have that going on. It's got the zippers on the side if you like to open that up and have a little bit more room. Very comfortable, very cozy. I'm typically wearing a small these days. I probably could have asked for this in a medium and had a tad more room, but I also wonder if it would have been too big and if the arms would have been too big on them. I'm not sure. So I'm kind of glad that I got the small. Love that the collar stands up just a little bit for some structure. I can absolutely see wearing fitting clothing under this. I would not wear a bulky sweater with this size of jacket, but it smells divine. The color is to die for. I mean, look at the suede on my loafers along with this jacket. Is that not so freaking fantastic together with jeans and then this dark chocolate top? I'm in love. I'm in love. This is everything I was hoping it would be. It's very supple and soft and moves so well with me. I love the stitching on it. The zipper is really easygoing. It doesn't snag or pull. It's not stiff. You know, it's a really nicely done jacket and I think it fits me just perfectly. So this will be coming to work events with me. I cannot freaking wait. Let me show you some of the other colors in case you're interested in the silk ones, and then we'll do some other Quince items in other videos. But because I've done a bunch of Quince across my videos, they show up in my faves, like the leather backpack that I got from Quince. Freaking love it. Love taking that thing on work trips, putting my laptop in it. I can even put an overnight set of clothing and toiletries in there and like a one and done. So the other color that I have of this same silk shirt is this one, which is like a navy blue. I mean, isn't that just a beautiful, rich blue color? Look at the detailing around the sleeve cuff. Super pretty. And it feels so lovely. I mean, it feels like quite nice silk, not, you know, you ever order silk blouses or something and they come and they're kind of stiff, or you're like, is that really 100% silk? Is it mixed with other fibers? Or it just feels like it was poorly done. The stitching is poor or whatever. This is really beautiful. Lovely navy blue color here. Like I said, the small, if you are a true small, the small is generous in size. And I think these shirts are designed to be generous in size. Yes, they have extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large. I meant to say the one shirt that didn't work out for me, I just want to share it with you because I did order 2 and I had to send them back. The silhouette wasn't for me. It's the washable stretch silk peasant blouse. And it looks like this. Let me move off to the side. Beautiful blouse. My husband said it looked like a pirate shirt on me. And I ordered a small. So I was like, do I get an extra small so that it's a little bit more snug? Because the sleeves were a little bit more voluminous maybe than he's used to seeing on me. So he kind of irritated me when he said that. And I couldn't unsee it once he said it. So I sent those back. But the buttons on that are so pretty. The detailing on it is pretty. So anyway, this is the other color from the shirt that I have on right now. With my good experience with this shirt, I would probably order the ivory color and maybe the green. I mean, you know how it is. You want all the dang colors when you find something that you like. The shirt that I have on is a hot fudge color. I mean, hello, it's called hot fudge. I mean, isn't this jacket so freaking handsome? I love this jacket. It feels so good on, like cozy fall, supple, beautiful leather. And it's not super heavy. It's like just right for cool temperatures. You know, and I can imagine putting like a silk scarf on with this or something in the evenings when you wanted your neck to be a little bit more warm. But this feels like a hot girl jacket. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you the other shirts. So I got a bunch of the washable silk stretch blouses, which are like classic work shirts that are button down. So luxurious feeling on your skin. Beautiful, like easy feel, like second skin, luxe to the heavens. Let me show you what I got. Here I went crazy and got like all the colors, right? They are not steamed out, so pardon me. But the ivory color is beautiful. Look at this gorgeous red color. I mean, hello, if that's not me, look how beautiful that is. Like a rich, deep, almost exotic red color. This is beautiful. One of my favorite shirts in my whole collection now. I got this sort of like wine color for when you want to be a little bit more conservative with your color, but you want to have just like a tad bit of pop. Isn't that pretty? Because I have an obsession with all things chocolate brown. I did get this one. I think this is also maybe hot fudge, the color. These are all in size small, and it's a generous fit for a small, you know, like it fits well on you. This one is not steamed out, pardon me, because I recently wore it and just hung it up after I dried it. But this color, which I think is called Dogwood, I'll put the name of it up on the screen. It's almost like a cross between gold and maybe like a pewter with a little bit of a green hint to it. Maybe khaki-ish. Love it. Very neutral. And then, of course, I got it in your classic black. So, like, y'all, between these shirts, my Luxair shirts, I have button downs that look just like this from Banana Republic and Taylor and Buttercloth. Like, I am all set for all the dang work events I'm going to have for the next 10 years. I just love these shirts. They are beautiful. So now I have the brown, the hot fudge to add to that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The other navy one of this, 8. So I have 8 of these Quince silk shirts. And absolutely no regrets. They are handsome, beautiful. They feel so good, and they steam out perfectly. And with my leather jacket, you can't tell me nothing. I know I'm cute. So I'll link all of these pieces down below, and you can go check them out and check out the colors. The other things that I wanted to say about Quince is that I really appreciate that they're offering high quality pieces at a more affordable price tag. So rather than getting the silk shirt for $300, you know, I'm getting it for $80 or $90 at the most, and it's beautiful and feels good, wears well, washes well, all of that. Now, like I said, wash tenderly, right, in your delicate cycle. And don't abuse your fabrics, right? Take good care of them, use the woolite, all of that stuff. But yes, affordable, high quality, beautifully constructed pieces. And I love that they do returns. And so you can return an item, at least as of the day that I'm filming this video, for up to 365 days after you receive it, like a whole year. So I actually returned a couple of pieces, some of the shirts that you just saw, because I had ordered them in a large and I was swimming in them because I had lost weight. And so I hadn't worn them. They still had the tags on them. I was able to send them back for the size that I need, the small, and they were so easy peasy. Sent it and they received it and immediately turned around and sent out the new items. Love that. I mean, fantastic customer service. Great selection. I haven't tried their summer items. They had bathing suits and everything this summer. Like they went in deep. They have home stuff. They have sheets. I mean, so much luggage, a lot of stuff to explore. I have, at least for now, just stuck to the cashmere sweaters, these silk shirts, the leather backpack, now that leather jacket, my shoes, and now I'm exploring their candles and fragrances. But like, it's a preferred shopping site for me, in addition to the other ones that I mentioned. Like, I get like that, where I get really sort of true blue to certain sites and I shop them more than anything else. So there you go. Here are my shirts that I wear to work events. And sometimes I film in these too. Look at this crazy one. I haven't even worn this, but I purchased it. Is that not the wildest color? It should remind you of like Mr. Roper or Mrs. Roper from Three's Company. Come and knock on our door, come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you, we've been waiting for you. Da 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 da. Three's Company too. Anyway, this is Banana Republic. Anyway, assorted shirts. We won't get through. We won't talk about each and every one, is what I meant to say. But there's Luxair, there's Banana Republic. This is Ann Taylor. Here's a butter cloth. Can I just show you? Look at this. Look how soft. Can't wait to wear this. I said look how soft, like you can feel it, but it is super soft. Love this. Just, it's almost like weighty and soft, like you're wearing a cozy pajama, but it counts as a work shirt because it's got a collar on it. But the point that I'm getting at is that everything is color coded. And so I've got my Quince and Luxair mixed in here. the reds, the blues. I even have like this almost flannelly shirt. I don't think I'd wear this to work. I would wear it to travel, but because it's way too casual. But I put it in here because it's got the collar on it. The blues. This is one of my favorite shirts from Ann Taylor. I mean, is that not pretty with the little, whatever you call that? It's like a doily around the around the edge, this little lacy collar. And then, the lone purple shirt. This is a purple flannel. I would not, flannelly texture. I wouldn't wear this to work. But, and then other Quince shirts. I've got this beautiful waffle knit Luxair shirt. Look at the material there. Beautiful. What I really wanted to show y'all was that my Quince shirts in all of their glory are among my other brands that I really like. And I've got enough shirts here to take me into the next century for sure. Let's go talk about some life stuff. Okay, so just a little bit of life chat of things that have been on my mind. I feel like this is like an ongoing diary of my life, this channel. So I hope you are enjoying the various reflections about everything about this part, this chapter of my life. And maybe the thoughts and reflections resonate with you too, because you are going through similar things or having similar reactions to things happening in your world. So I've been thinking a lot about fall and the glory of fall. Each season has its own spectacular lessons for us, reminders to look to nature for the cycles of life and like the laws of life, if you will. It's not lost on me that part of the reason we love fall so much, especially the further north you get, right, is that the leaves on trees get to their most spectacular stage of colors. They turn beautiful colors if you're lucky enough to be in an area with great fall foliage. The best I've ever seen was in Vermont as I was passing through Vermont to get to the Canadian border once upon a past life. Got to visit the hills or drive through the hills of Vermont rather, and just thought they were beautiful. But I also remember the leaves changing from my life in New York, from when I was younger and growing up, and then also in New England in general as I went to school in Connecticut and then in Rhode Island, and just got to see some beautiful foliage. And I love the glory of the golds and the reds and the browns, and sometimes green is still mixed in there and all of that. And the parallel for me is, what if our life is like that? What if we reach our greatest beauty to behold and admire or something in the fall of our lives? Which, considering the current lifespan of today, is probably somewhere, depending on how long your life is going to be, between 40 and 70 or 80, somewhere in there, before you get into the winter stage. So that's going to be different for everyone based on their genetics and lifestyle and all of that. But I wonder if there are some lessons and parallels about fall and nature and what we see there. As the life force starts to cool down, perhaps some of the greatest beauty emerges. And then eventually those leaves fall, they let go. They let go of clinging to trees and they fall gently to the ground and disintegrate and contribute back to the ecosystem as they become decomposed and part of earth materials again, right? I wonder if this is the season of ongoing letting go. And I feel that happening just in various areas of my life. I think a lot of the comments that I've shared about my recent perspectives on people and things and interactions, things happening in the world, all of that is a way of me starting to let go and be just sort of in my full own glory, whatever that means. There's a lot to explore there and a lot to unpack. And I'm not feeling like super philosophical, such that I have a way with words today. I think my words are not cooperating with me today the way that I would like. But anyway, there's something just about the regal glory of fall that I think is a parallel to the middle age years and perhaps somewhat beyond that, the couple of decades beyond that or something like that. So I'm kind of leaning into that, leaning into the concept of letting go of ego, letting go of pride, letting go of the need to be right, letting go of expectations of others, letting go of expectations of myself, right? And just being, enjoying the moment in all the ways that I've talked about in the previous reflection videos and all of that. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to, just in the spirit of gratitude, express that it's really quite a pleasure as a mom to watch your children grow up, even though there's this like ache when they start to disattach from you and become independent because your relationship with them changes. I think I saw something like, you move in their teenage years into their young adult years. You move from being the director of their life to a member of the audience. You're watching them at that point as they start to make their own decisions, pull away from you, express their independence, need your input less on what they're doing. Like it's all a natural part of things. So I'm embracing that too, rather than getting in my feelings about it, flowing with it. The whole concept of flowing with the river versus paddling upstream or against it. It's the natural order of things that children grow up and become independent of you, and they have an entirely different identity that has less to do with you and more to do with who they are becoming and the experiences that they're having, right? There's always going to be a part of you just by virtue of you being a good parent, if you are one, or even bad parents have a lot of impact on who their child becomes. I mean, there's a whole psychology behind that too. I think I've been a relatively good parent. I hope so. And so by virtue of me raising our children, we leave parts of ourselves with them always, but eventually they become their own people, their own personalities, independent and different from you. And it's a really hard thing for parents to let go. And so it's part of that letting go thing for me. And so, my son is just about to get his license. Knock on wood, of course, I am like every other parent and concerned about safe driving and, more concerned about everybody else out there and their crazy maneuvers than you are about your child and whatever. Cause my son's, he's driving pretty well. Like he's following the rules of the road. He's still learning. So there's an occasional, fumble here or there. But for the most part, he is doing really well, like obeying speed limits, taking corners lightly, all the things that we've been teaching him, right? So we got to the point where he is about to get his license in another week or so. And we went ahead and got him a vehicle. So that was really quite a moment where I thought to myself, I am entrusting my child, who is still a teenager. Like, yes, he's a young man. He looks like a young man, but in my heart, he's always going to be my baby. And I'll always see him as a little boy. I mean, somewhat, right? Like I look at him and I'm amazed at the young man he has become. He's strong, he's got a very deep voice. He's towering over me. Very well, tall to me, but I'm short. He's tall relative to me. And he's starting to show up as a young man. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but I am literally entrusting him with a vehicle, like a car that will give him all the freedom that he dreams of at the moment and could potentially also be a very dangerous thing. So I'm leaning into the good parts of it and trying to let go of the panic and fear that I'm sure every parent has as they send their kid off in the car. He's not there yet. He hasn't got his license yet, but it's coming really soon. And the thing that I want to say is the gratitude that he expressed for the vehicle. He was such a doll about it. It had the features that he wanted. It's a used car. I wasn't going to get him a new car. It's a used car, but it's got the features that he wanted and many of the safety features that I wanted. And so it was a win-win for both of us. A car that I wouldn't hesitate to drive myself. And he's super happy with it. And I'm happy that he's happy. So him expressing gratitude for that made me feel grateful that we were in a position to do that for him and that he's expressing interest in taking care of it. Like he washed it yesterday, he's been checking all of the fluids and everything on it and all of that. It's giving my husband some time to bond with him, his own dad, sometime his biological dad, some time to bond with him over car things, and my husband, who's his stepdad. They're both bonding with him over the car, which is so nice to see. His little brother is so excited to see his big brother get a car, little brother from his dad's new marriage. And it's just all really delightful to watch everyone else partake in the joy of him being able to have this really nice experience. I'm also witnessing him just becoming a nice young man. So he's got a girlfriend at this point who is just a beautiful young lady, very sweet. And he's wanting to get her flowers when she comes over, get her chocolates, things like that that are just so precious to me. I'm thinking, where did he get this from? Because I don't remember teaching him those things. I do always expect him to be a gentleman and impress upon him that it is his job to be a gentleman to ladies. And so I try to teach him what that means, show him examples of that. He certainly has good examples in the father figures, grandfather figures, and all of that in his life. So that's really quite nice. But it's such a pleasure and a humbling and proud moment to listen to him say, "Hey, can we go grab some flowers for his girlfriend, when she comes over?" And so today he had these 2 little bouquets of flowers that he purchased for her, and he took these chocolates and made this, like, circle around the vase that has the flowers in them, and it was the most precious little thing. I'm thinking, "I am so touched." It feels so good that my son is becoming a gentleman. He's becoming a gentleman. He's opening doors for me, certainly for his girlfriend, getting to the point where he's demanding to take our bags in, grocery bags and things like that. Those sorts of little gestures that are very important to me. I am a big fan of chivalry. I do not want chivalry to die. We have a very chivalrous household. My husband is very chivalrous. He's like that alpha male who protects the family, takes care of everything, always makes sure that I have everything I need, even though I provide for myself. Like I have, work my ass off at my job and I do well at my job and I make my own money. He makes his own money, all of that. But he still plays that sort of provider role, if you will, even though we both contribute heavily to the household and enjoy, our money together and all those sorts of things. He has that role, that male figure role, and I have the female figure role. Like we do that traditionally. And I don't knock other people for doing their life a different way, but that works for us and we love it. And I also want to teach my son to do that, our daughter to be a young lady and carry herself as one, so on and so forth. Our older son, same thing. So then let me switch to another topic, and that is dreams. I wanted to ask your thoughts on dreams and whether you believe that people come from the other side and visit us in dreams. I've always wondered and been skeptical. I have had a few experiences that were so profound to me in dreams that I am convinced that they are messages, some kind of consciousness from the other side making their way into dreams, and that we're only receptive to that in dream state or something close to that. If you believe in like the world is frequency and all of that, you have a different frequency while you sleep than when you're awake and your thoughts are getting in the way and all of that. I'm sure there's disputes to that, but let me believe for a second. When my grandmother passed away, who I grew up with her. We were in 2 apartments when I was a kid. She lived in the apartment downstairs, we lived in the apartment upstairs of something that would be equivalent to, like, a brownstone type of situation. It wasn't as fancy as that, but if you can imagine, like, maybe a townhouse that had 2 apartments. At one point at the turn of the century, not the turn of this century, the 1800s to the 1900s, I meant, sorry, 'cause the building is that old. At some point when it was first built, I think it was a one-family home. And at the very first floor, I don't know why I'm getting into all this, but let me just get this out. In the first floor of this building, on the left-hand side was a little grocery store, what we call your bodega in New York, a bodega. They sold basic groceries and lunch meats and candies and drinks and milk and eggs and that kind of thing, basics. And then on the other side, there was a candy store. Those, I believe, had been converted at some point later in the 20th century into the late 1900s into those stores. I think when that home was first built, it was a 3-story home that had like a parlor. Those rooms were parlors. It almost had like a Victorian style. It had been sided over, like there was siding on it, and I never ever got to see what was behind the siding, like if it's a brick building or what. But when you walked inside, there were some ornate molding features that would lead you to believe that at some point that was a grander home that had been converted through the years. So anyway, all of that to say that the first floor was the bodega and the candy store. You couldn't get into them from our house. You had to enter those from the outside of the building. The doors on the inside of the house that went to those had been boarded up. They had wood over them and had been painted over, so you couldn't get in there from the inside. Anyway, I don't know why I felt the need to tell you all that, but the memory just came rushing back. You walked up the grand staircase and into a hallway that had rooms that they all had their own doors. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. Own doors from into the hallway, but those doors had been locked off and only one door was open. That was the apartment entrance. So that was the kitchen. I mean, the family room entrance to my grandmother's house. So that was the door there. And then you went up another staircase to our floor, which was the top one, and the same situation. There was a hallway that had doors to every room. So you could tell at one point those doors were open. They were all locked up and it was like I call it a choo-choo train apartment where every room opened onto the next. Like, we didn't go out into the hallway to get into the rooms. We literally walked from one room into the next room. It was a really interesting situation growing up, way too much lack of privacy, shall we say. Another conversation for another day, but we lived on the top floor. So my grandmother lived downstairs. Even though I wasn't personally, like, close to her, I loved her and I knew she loved me. She took care of us when we were little. We saw a lot of her. I saw less of her in her later life. Anyway, she passed away in about 98, and I knew she had passed away before my mother told me, because the night that she passed away, I had the most vivid, profound dream of her. And the dream was, and I'll never forget this, and it makes me emotional to this day. This was 27 years ago that I had this dream. The dream was that her soul became a star in the sky. So she was still her full conscious self, but she was like a point of light in the vast sky. And she could see all of us on earth, her loved ones, her family. And she could feel all of our emotions, but she could not comfort us with a hug or anything like that. So she was sad about that. Her soul and her consciousness was sad that she could not interact with us anymore. And I remember it being a deeply jarring, profound, horribly sad dream. And I woke up from the dream shaken and crying and very, very upset. And then my mom called me the next day to tell me that she had passed away. So, somewhere deep down in my soul, I had no doubt that that was her soul coming to me in a dream. Like, that was way too much of a coincidence. And I had never had that profound of a dream with her anyway. I'd had some other dreams. So, anyway, fast forward, it's haunted me, that dream. And I remember telling a coworker, I was a teacher at the time, in the teacher's lounge about the dream, and she dismissed it. I remember her saying, "Oh, that's not what happens when you die. You go to heaven to be with Jesus." And I'm like, maybe, but is it possible that this other thing happens too? Where you go out into the cosmos somehow and that is part of getting to heaven? Because if anybody was going to heaven, surely my grandmother was going. She was a saint. A saint. Beautiful woman, beautiful soul, so giving, so wonderful, like a matriarch of the family. Fast forward 27 years later, a few nights ago, I had again another incredibly vivid dream of my grandmother. And in this dream, she was her physical self. She was not a star or a pinpoint of light in the sky. She was her physical self. She passed away in her late 90s. And so in this dream, she was maybe in her 60s, 70s. And she wore they call them batas in Spanish. I guess you call it like a muumuu in English, like a big house dress type of thing. She wore those mostly in the later part of her life that I can remember anyway. I always saw her in one. She had something like that on and an apron. I mean, my grandmother could throw down in the kitchen. She could cook some amazing food. She had on a robe, I mean, excuse me, an apron and the bata. And the dream was just me looking at her, and her eyes were peacock feathers. Not her eye was a feather, but the pupil and colored part iris of her eye was the eye of the peacock feather. And I remember staring at them in the dream. They were huge, like saucers, and they were so mesmerizing. And it looked just like the green and the blue of the peacock feather, where the pupil part wasn't in the middle, it was in the bottom part. And I remember thinking in the dream, what does this mean that her eyes look like peacock feathers? What does it mean? Why am I seeing this? And why is she coming to me in a dream? Because I knew that it was her coming from the other side. I don't think I realized I was dreaming while I was having the dream. Surely I noticed that afterward, after I woke up. But it was just one of those moments where I thought to myself, what in the world am I supposed to take from this? And I still don't know. We have a peacock painting. I'll insert a picture of that here that we love. My husband and I, we got it at auction. It's huge, original painting, beautiful. We both love it so much. I see it every time I come out of my bedroom. And I wonder, like, is it just that the peacock is in my subconscious because I look at it every day? Is that why I'm having a dream about this thing? Or is there some symbolism here? Is she coming to get one of my parents? Which that's a whole heartbreaking thought, right? Is she letting me know that something's going to happen? Is she coming to check on me? I have no idea, but it's really, really profound to me. The other thing that I wanted to share about that whole thing, my grandfather is someone I was very close to. I was closer to him than I was to my grandmother. He died probably 11 years prior to her, excuse me, maybe 12 or 13 years prior to her death, her passing. And he never came to me in a dream or anything, but he used to smoke. cigarettes, that is. And after his passing, every so often, I would get wafts of cigarette smoke in the air. I just always wondered, like, is there something to that? Or do I have a medical issue? Do I need to go get checked out because I'm smelling smoke? And I did look it up, and there is a condition that might mean you have something. If I forget what it is, but I looked it up. If you're smelling things like smoke, you might have some other neurological conditions going on. So I never got that checked out. But could it also be that that's, something from another realm, another dimension that we don't understand? I mean, I guess it depends on if you believe. If you're a believer that there is something beyond and there's another dimension that we can't see, another existence that we are not privy to, we're not tuned into or something, then it makes sense, right? If you don't believe in that and you think all of that is hocus pocus and there's only the physical world here that we can see and feel and prove to be, then none of that makes sense to you. So I don't really know, but I wanted to share that the smoke thing. And because it's been coming around more lately where I'm like, oh, I'm smelling like a waft of cigarette smoke where there shouldn't be one. And I'm like, am I having a physical problem or is that a sign from beyond? I don't know. Remains to be seen. But the dreams, both the dream I had 27 years ago and the dream that I had recently, were both so incredibly profound. Like more profound. I call them visceral dreams. Like you feel them in every part of your being, every cell in your body experiences the dream. You know, it's so deeply touching. Like it lives in the core of you or something. More and I have a very vivid dream life. Lots of dreams, but these two in particular stand out as meaning something that I'm not sure of. So anyway, wanted to get your thoughts if you have had dreams like that, if you believe that those types of things mean something, if you think that they are messages from beyond, or if you just kind of brush them off as dreams are strange and our mind can play tricks on us and make us believe things that aren't there. So that's all for today. Gratitude for the beautiful young man that my son is growing up to be. Gratitude for the beauty of fall and the parallel lessons, the analogs in our own middle aging. Gratitude for messages and dreams, even if it's just my mind making it up, but hoping that it is something from the other side, or rather believing. It's not that I'm hoping, it's that I'm believing. Like I feel like there's no way they can't be. So that's all. That's all. Go shop on Quince. Check them out. That's what we started the video off with. Really, really excited with my Quince pieces. All right, y'all, take care. Bye.